Today we are going to see port forwarding. Um, Imagine if a container is running on a Docker host. Say that container is running on port 8080 of a Docker, and you have your services running. Say, for example, you have got your services like Tomcat or Nginx is running on a container. Um, can you run that services or can you access those services from host if it is running in a container? Uh, I'll give you a second to answer. Sorry, I can't. This is a recorded one. Okay. So the answer is no, because your host is in a different network and your container is in a different network. So for security concerns, your our container will be running on a separate isolated network, but sometimes there will be a need to access some of the services of the container and not all the services. And for this purposes, we can achieve this by exposing certain ports. I will show you this in a lab now. Okay, so Docker run. Before that, we'll see what are all the containers we have got at the moment. No, okay, we got Tomcat here. So I will create a container for Nginx. Say this is Nginx. I'm creating a container. Okay, and if you see Docker ps, if you can see, this is running on port 80. This container is running in port 80. And where is the IP address of our, okay, we can use the private IP address of the host. So my question earlier was like, can you access port Nginx services running on port 80 of this container? Can you access from the host, which is this one? Can you access? We can see. Okay, so curl. I'll just copy the private IP address. Curl is a command to see the content of the browser. So we are trying to access the service of Nginx from port 80 of from the Docker host. Can you access? The answer is no, we can't. So that's the answer. How about like if we access from the container? Okay, the private, what is the, now we will see whether we can access from the container. Obviously we can access from the container. So we can see whether we can access or not. To get into the Docker inspect, we need to know the IP address of the container to see whether we can access or not. So for that, to get the IP address of the container or all the details of the container, we can use a command called docker inspect container id. Okay, so the IP address of this container is 172. Okay, so 172.17.0.4, and that's running on port 80. See, you can access from the container. So we can identify, like we have found, like we can access the content of Nginx servers from the container. Obviously we can access from the container because it's running in the container. But now we are going to see like how we can, in this case, like we can't access the services of Nginx from the host which is running Nginx. Here we can't access the Nginx services which is running on the container, which is running on port 80. We can't access these services from the Docker host. Now we can see like how we can achieve this, how we can access some of the services or all of the services using from the Docker host. We can access the services of the container from the host. How we can achieve this? That is by port forwarding. So for port forwarding, we use, before that I will remove the containers. Um, I'm forcefully removing. To remove the running container, we have to use the flag -f. So we have removed it. We'll see what are all the images. Yes, nginx, that should be okay. I'm clearing the flag. Okay. So the command for the port forwarding is docker run -itd. So why we are using is to access the services of the container from the Docker host. So nginx. Okay, now we got. So now we ran the command for. Okay, for port forwarding we have to use this flag -p. If we use -p, what it would do is like we know like actual earlier it was nginx was running on port 80. If we use -p, it would go to random port. It will just choose the random port. So the command is docker ps. Okay, if you see nginx service that is running on, which was on port 80, that has been randomly, it has been forwarded to a random port number 32770. Okay, so now it's been forwarded to 32770. So now we can access the services of nginx server, which is running on the container from the docker host using the port number 32770. I hope you get it. I will repeat it. The services that is running on the container that is running on port 80, now it's been forwarded to 32770. So now we can access the services of nginx from docker host by using the port number 32770. And how we can see that? You can see by giving the curl command and to see whether it is working or not. Curl and the IP address of the, or the private IP address of the docker host, colon. Earlier when we used port 80 we didn't get it, so now we are using 32770. It's not running. Oh yeah, before doing that we have to go to our AWS instance and then give access to this port number. So I'm adding a rule on my security group. So what is the port number? 32770. We have to give the custom TCP protocol and then give the port number where what we need to get the access for, and then giving the CIDR block address we can access from anyone. And then if you save this rule, okay, it's been saved. So now if you see, like you can, I think it needs some time. Custom TCP 30, that's running now. And if you go to the browser, I'm going to a browser and giving the IP address of colon 32770. I'm giving the in the browser I'm giving, I don't know whether you can see in the video or not. In the browser I'm giving the IP address of this colon, the port number 32770. And if you see, you can see the welcome to Nginx. This is the content. I hope you get it. We can't access from the private IP address. We have to access from the public IP address. So this is how you can do the port forwarding. Now, now I'm going to, so far in this case, like the port number, port 80 was randomly being forwarded to a random port number. What if we need to specify a port number? Say for example, like need to, like I have set up in my security group role. Say in this previous case, like we didn't know what is the port number that is going to be randomly generated, so then we have to get back into your EC2 instance and then change our security group rule to and then we have to set up a rule. For example, if there is a case like if you need, like you have to generate this only on a particular port number that you want, then you can use another way. So minus capital P is a port exposing flag, means whatever on port 80 on Nginx will be exposed to a random port. So whatever on host um, port is forwarded to the random port. So in case if you want to forward the port to a particular port number of your own choice, then it is called binding port. So here I'm going to set up a rule, edit inbound rule. So I need my Nginx service to be running on a port number of my own choice. So I'm going to set up a port number of my own choice. So it is custom TCP. I'm just going to set up a number. I'll just go give 999. You can give any number of your choice. And then you save the rule. So now I want this Nginx service, the Nginx services to be running on port 99. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, going to clear. So the command here is docker run -itd. For random port generator, we used capital P. But for binding port, which is means a port of your own choice, you have to give small p -p and then 999, which is the number that you want to be forwarded to. And the Nginx services is running on port 80. And then you give the image name. Okay. So now Nginx is available on two ports. Port 32770, which was generated by randomly, and port 9999. Okay, so if you see whether it is running, if you look into docker ps, you will get the running containers. Can you see here the port 80 has been forwarded to 99. So now if I take the EC2 instance IP address, I set up my video in such a way you can't see the, I think I should have set setup for a full screen. That's fine. So what I'm doing, I will say what I'm doing. So I'm just copying the public IP address, copying it on my address bar of my browser, paste it, colon, and uh, and I'm giving the port number 9999. And if I give this, you can see the welcome to Nginx server. So this is called port number. This is called port forwarding, binding port forwarding. So in Docker file, I'll show you how there is a Docker file on GitHub. Or I can, if you go into the Docker hub, hub.docker.home, and then if you search by what is the one, Nginx, there will be a Docker file that is saved on the GitHub. Come on, it's over here, I think. Yeah, if you click on this link, there will be Docker file. So in my previous video, I would have explained what is from. From means the base image from where you want to be. The image is being pulled. Label is like whatever the label we can give, like maintainer or the creator name. Env is the environmental variable that you want to set as. Run will be if you put any instructions in the run, that will be generated like as and when the image is created. So that is run command. If you come down, and if you see there is an expose, which is like a port forwarding, like where is used for, so expose command. So we can also give this in the in our Docker file. So exposes the port number where Nginx service is running. So this command is used for port forwarding in Docker file. And cmd is the command where like it would be running when the container is launching.